Today's episode is brought to you by Fretboard Biology, the comprehensive online guitar course put together by Joe Elliott. Now, Joe is not only a fantastic guitar player, he draws on his years of experience as the ex-head of guitar at the Guitar Institute of Technology and also at the McNally Smith Music College. Here's a few words from Joe about the course.
You're tired of wading through hundreds of random guitar videos and just want to become a better player. Fretboard Biology is your answer. Fretboard Biology is a self-paced, college-level program that'll give you the right instruction, in the right amounts, and in the right order. You'll learn the same information I taught to thousands of other guitar players over 30 years of teaching in top music colleges. If you want to make real progress with your guitar playing, then sign up for a free 7-day trial at fretboardbiology.com.
Hey everyone, this is the Guitar Speak podcast. My name's Matt Wakeling and this is the show that I produce in Sydney, Australia. We started out as an interview show, still doing lots of great interviews, but also for the last almost 2 years, I've been hanging out with my friends Rob Rhodes.
Hello.
And Gabor Jasika.
Hello.
Hello. For the Iconic series, we started off talking about iconic guitar albums. We've kind of spread out into a bunch of cool guitar things. Gabor, it's over to you to drive the ship tonight. What have you got for us?
All right, me hearties. So I thought it's kind of a quick and easy sort of thing. I thought iconic riffs. Let's talk about some riffs that we all like, that we find iconic.
Yeah.
And maybe talk a little bit about the person who created the riff. Maybe if we know a little bit about maybe what gear was used, let's talk about that sort of stuff too. And go from there. And I believe Rob put together a Spotify playlist with a lot of those riffy riffs, yeah?
I did, yes, and we can put that in the show notes. I'll need to rename it from what it is now, but by the time this hits, it'll.
Yeah. Cool. And I don't know, I've got a couple of honourable mentions. I don't know if we want to chuck them in as well or not. I don't know.
Sure.
I'll leave it up to you. So should I go first?
Why?
Go first.
Let's go first. Okay, I'm going to start off with my first one. I think, to me, probably one of the kings of riffs. If you think of a band that plays very riffy music and a guy who's written tons of really, really cool riffs, you got to go Tom Morello, you got to go Rage Against the Machine. And you could pick just about any of their songs, but I picked Bulls on Parade, which is off the second album, Evil Empire, from 1996. I actually, without realizing it shows you I'm a child of the 90s. All three that I picked are from 1996. So happens to be, I didn't choose specific year, it just so happened. So I picked Bulls on Parade purely because it's an F sharp and that's it.
That's a rock key, that one.
It's an F sharp, he plays it, once he plays octaves, then he plays the wah-wah riff. But it's one chord. It's great. So that's why I picked it.
Love it, man. Awesome.
So, Bulls on Parade. Rob, thoughts?
Well, as soon as you picked that, I remember buying my first Jim Dunlop 535 Crybaby. Yeah. And it had in the manual the settings for certain songs. And the first one that you pull up is the Bulls setting and so you just go wow, and it's just perfect. And anyone who didn't do that is lying because
everyone.
How do they write down the settings? Do they write some
they
words?
Put the notch. Yeah, they're like, this is where you set the cue, and this is where you set the boost, and this is where you set the notch filter on the side.
Well, I mean, you know what the secret is to the whole Tom Morello thing? He runs the wire in the effects loop of the amp. That's the secret. That's how you get that sound.
Okay.
All his pedals, he runs into the effects loop. And there's a funny interview with him, actually, where he goes, well, I didn't know what I was doing, but it set effects loop in the back. And so I thought, I'll plug all the effects in the effects loop. So he runs all these effects. So that's how he gets that really aggressive wah sound, because it's after the distortion in the effects loop.
Yeah. Okay.
Just quickly want to mention as well, so he he uses for that his Arm the Homeless guitar, which is a custom-made guitar that was made for him at a guitar store out of parts. He wanted to get a really cool shreddy guitar. He actually said like Nuno's guitar, a really shreddy guitar. And he had it made in some fancy Hollywood, I think, or LA guitar shop. And like a parts guitar they put together for him. And he got it back and he hated it. And since changed pretty much everything out of it. The only thing that's still original is the body, which is that sort of blue Super Strat style body with those, I think, the sheep on it and Arm the Homeless, like stickers on it. And it has a graphite Kramer style, but rip-off, but not Kramer, but graphite Kramer style neck on it from Nadine's Music. And an EMG 85 pickup in the bridge and an EMG H pickup in the neck, which is a single coil pickup in the housing of a humbucker. And it has volume control for each pickup and the 3-way Les Paul style switch, how it does that kill switch stuff, in the solo and stuff in it. And I mean, what a cool riff, what a cool song, one chord. I mean, then he has a cool scratching solo in it, and he has, in the verse, there's that other bit in it. But I mean, the main riff, it's an F sharp.
yeah.
Matt,
Killer,
what about
man.
you? Raging
same thing. Just brutal octaves, killer. Kind of like Zeppelin Immigrant Song. I think that's F sharp as well.
Yeah.
Just octaves, man. Octaves rock if you're cool enough to pull it off, and Morello is.
There's a great awesome. Primus version of that song, actually.
Which one? Immigrant or
Immigrant Song? He slaps it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's all bass slapping. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Massive.
so that's it. I mean, I just thought, quick. Let's just quick fire around. Look at a few. Look at a few riffs that we all like. So who wants to go next?
Go for it, Matt.
Oh, all right. First one, Cult of Personality, Living Colour, Vernon Reid's the guitarist. We've done this album as an iconic album. I think it was one of the first albums we all really liked.
Yeah, and it's an honourable in my honourable mentions, Cult of Personality. It's a killer riff.
Okay.
Killer riff.
Killer, amazing riff. A bit Zeppelin-ish. There's going to be some Zeppelin references tonight, I believe. I feel it in my bones. Massive backbeat and this big riff. And then I love how the riff kind of develops as the song continues. Yeah. There's some rhythmic displacement kind of stuff. Huge tone. I've actually got my first ever, you can see this on the podcast, my first ever Guitar Player magazine. Guitar.
Oh, that's a great looking white outfit and white guitar on the back. That's Vivian Campbell's Night Song. Kramer. Wow. No, that's
Kramer. Yeah,
that's
Kramer.
If anything looks 80s, that was 80s.
Absolutely. But this is when I read the interview with Vernon Reid before I heard any Living Colour music.
Okay.
Kind of like I read the Empire Strikes Back storybook when I was at school before I saw the movie, which made the whole Darth Vader father thing a bit of a bummer. Anyway.
Spoil it. Don't spoil it.
I know. I spoiled myself.
Don't give it away, man.
Vernon Reid's rig at the time, he's playing ESP Strat styles as he was, had the funky paint jobs, EMG pickups as everyone was doing. Multi-amp, so he's running a Dean Markley combo into a 412, Fender Dual Showman. Yeah. And most of his effects were from a Roland GP8 at the time and a Digitech DSP 128. Nothing too crazy at the time, but of course.
That riff is a punch in the face. Like, it really is. It's just like, it's so aggressive that it partners the message in the song perfectly. And a funny story that today I finished finally rewatching The Walking Dead from the start.
Okay.
And in the series finale, they use Cult of Personality when they're blowing everything up.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome.
So it was like, it fell today, last episode, right before we're recording this, and then I'm listening to the song and watching the episode and going, oh, that tied in nicely, didn't it?
That's so good. That's so good. Last thing I'll say about this riff, the Letterman band used to use it as a playoff into the ad breaks.
Yeah.
I remember that.
That was that's a good band, the Letterman band. That was a very good band.
Unbelievably good.
Anton Fig, Will Ray. Great band.
Will Lee.
I just listened to a
Will
podcast
Lee, that's right, not
with Paul Schaefer, interviewed by Joe Bonamassa. It's a couple of years old, but it was such a cool conversation. Anyway, first riff, Cult of Personality. All my riffs, Gabor, are from the 80s or 70s. So I think we'll see what Rob's got in terms of
just want to
frames,
to me,
we're aging ourselves.
He'll always be Artie Fufkin.
Yes. Kick me.
Classic.
Go watch Spinal Tap, people, if you haven't yet. Good old
All right,
Artie
so
Fufkin.
I've put a proviso, let's say that's the word for tonight, proviso on the riffs that I chose, that they somehow shook my world when I heard them for the first time.
Yeah, well, that's part of it, yeah.
Yeah, so, and I still love them to this day. Whenever I hear them, it makes me want to play guitar. So the sheen never wore off any of these riffs for me.
That's cool.
So the first one is Led Zeppelin, which, Matt, you mentioned we're going to probably broach at some point. So I'm going to bring that up first. Living, Loving, Made off Led Zeppelin 2.
Yeah.
It's not the first riff I remember, but it's probably close to the second that I ever remember hearing, that just pricked my ears up and went, what is that? I need to be doing that. It's got, it's just underpinned by a killer groove, and you just want to play. And I think it's one of my, something that brings all of the riffs that I'm going to pick is that there's like a pedal tone or open string kind of thing happening with all of those. I seem to gravitate towards those type of riffs. So
yeah, wow.
Yeah, and by Led Zeppelin 2, I think Page, he'd had his Les Paul, he'd gotten that, and playing Marshalls and Supros, getting those tones. But I didn't dive too much into the gear that was used. I wanted to kind of just the feeling that the song gave me, and I sat last night and learnt them all, or replayed them. I haven't played them in a long time, and it's just as much fun to play as to listen to that riff.
Yeah, nice. Did you do that in the 70s show?
No. Okay. We only do rock and roll every now and again because we've sort of gone from a classic rock show to a kind of party dance band. We've gone to 85% women on the dance floor, so it's kind of like, we pander to them.
A lot of Rod Stewart.
Be hard to sing. Be hard to sing a lot of fun stuff too. I mean, that's not an easy range to hit.
No, we do LA Woman into rock and roll as like a
that's cool
8-minute medley.
Oh, okay.
2 songs when the rockers are in the house.
Very good.
So yeah, Live and Love and Made, Led Zeppelin 2. That was my first one.
But I was going to say, Jimmy Page. I mean, he's one of the first guys who had really catchy, hooky, repetitive riffs that just kept repeating, and that was the song. I don't think there were too many other bands before that really did that on guitar.
And I think that's why he's quoted by so many people as being like the king. Yeah, the riff that's influenced everybody.
Yeah. Because there's, I mean, Led Zeppelin. There's so many that are, and the interesting thing is also how different the guitar sounds in every single riff. He really crafted a special sound for every song and for every riff.
And even in the parts of the song, like he's got the real wah. There's a huge top end wah attack, which sounds to me like it's still the telly doing those pre-chorus parts.
He used the telly a lot in recordings. I think even later on, I think the telly was for quite a long time in recording sessions. Live it was always a Les Paul, but yeah. Cool.
It's a deep cut. You got to go digging for that one.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess back to me. Okay, so the second one I picked is maybe a little bit of an odd one, but I thought an acoustic guitar riff, because that's not something that you hear that often. And this is a really quirky one too. So this is So Much to Say by Dave Matthews Band. Super quirky riff, super syncopated guitar playing over the... I mean, we've talked about Dave Matthews Band in an episode before. Killer band, killer drummer, Carter Beauford. Yeah. I mean, one of the best sort of groove drummers, I think, of all time. But what a quirky riff! Did you guys know this song beforehand, or is this a song? Is it kind of new to you, or?
No, I heard it a few times in the past, but it's not something that gets a regular spin.
What about you, Matt?
I had the album. This was on
Crash.
Crash. Love that album. It's the only DMB album I own, but I love the record.
It's great.
So I knew it fairly well. Yeah, I love it when the band kicks in. It just pushes it off to some other places as well, which is really fun.
It's one of those things where when he starts playing, it's such a quirky rhythm he plays.
Yeah,
that it takes the drummer to come in to make sense of it.
Yeah, where does it sit? Yeah.
It's one of
But
those
somehow he makes it harder while he's singing.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, here's the riff,
Yeah.
and then when he sings, it's doing octave little things. And you're
And
like,
this kind of police style chords, the add 9 chords, like in a lot of police songs that he adds into it. And it's so busy what he plays while he sings, and they're very syncopated rhythms he's playing. I mean, the playing is syncopated, but then he sings syncopated to the playing. It's crazy. Just gear wise, no idea what he used in a recording, but he played Taylors back in those days pretty much exclusively. And he liked the really high end, very expensive Taylors, the 914 CEs, and I think he had a signature model for a little while, but Taylor as well, which is the high end. Top of the line, very, 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 very expensive Taylor guitars. So I'm guessing that's probably what he played. With Dave Matthews Band, people out there, if you want to check him out, check out the live stuff. A lot of times, I think you can really, you can really get the band a lot more than. I mean, the recordings are great, the album versions are great, but something like that, for example, a Central Park concert. The whole Central Park concert is excellent. If you check that out, and songs like that, you can really see the band jamming on it and how it sort of all goes. But yeah, I just thought it's a really weird, quirky, interesting acoustic guitar riff, just for something completely different.
Yeah, nice.
All right, next.
Okay, sorry, back to regular programming. Kashmir, Led Zepp, Page again, back to the rock. This was from, I believe, the 6th Zeppelin album, Physical Graffiti, which came out in 1975. Man, just again, Page, king of the rock riff. Those ascending fifths, climbing up, sounds amazing. I read that he probably used his 59 Les Paul for this, but I don't know. You can read everywhere people say, yeah, he used his 59 Les Paul. It could have been the Telly, like you're saying.
I
Could have been a Dano.
The Dan Electro,
Yeah.
I think
that's
it was
what I
Dan
was
Electro
thinking.
used for that.
Yeah, it's not a massive tone.
No.
Even on like Live It, Love It, it's not. They're not massive distorted tones, but they're just played with a lot of oomph and conviction, and sounds massive. And Guilty Pleasure, I actually liked the remake of this, Come With Me by Puff Daddy, featuring Jimmy Page from one of those horrible Godzilla movies in the 90s. I thought rapping over that riff sounded really cool until I listened to it again today, many years later, and I didn't quite feel the same way.
I just thought there was an interview with Puff Daddy. I remember when it came out, there was an interview with Puff Daddy, and I think, and I could be wrong because this was a while ago, but I think he said, "Oh, I heard this riff. I had no idea who it was. I said, whoever it is, I want that person. I want that on my, and it's like, so you don't know who that was? And apparently it was one of the first times that was recorded over the internet. That was a very early over the internet recording where he actually re-recorded parts of it. It wasn't a sample. He re-recorded, so Jimmy Page via, I guess, was sitting in his castle that has great Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Great Wi-Fi at Headley Grange.
And it was done over the internet, the playing. So I think it was very early days. But yeah, I mean, Kashmir, what a riff. It's just one of those ultimate riffs, isn't it?
Kind of another like pedal tone drone thing.
Yeah,
very
the
drone,
ascending, it's great. Just so effective at the drama, like creating drama with such a simple little
totally.
That sort of
ascension,
and a flangey, phasey sound on the drums. It's just, it's so cool. Yeah, I love all that stuff.
and it's simple
strings.
and like
Super simple.
Yeah.
You just go, like the simple things are often the best and the hardest to create.
And it
he's
goes on
done
for like
so
8
many of them.
minutes. And after 8 minutes, you still like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it still sounds big.
It still sounds great.
Yeah. So there you go. Number 2, Kashmir, Zeppelin.
That's really
Alright.
cool.
Well, my number 2 is, this is actually the first guitar song I recall hearing as a kid. My dad had it on a 45 and used to just get spun all the time, and me playing air guitar all around the house to it.
Tennis racket.
So first memory of just absolute guitar riffage. And it's always the song I reference as kind of my gateway tune to becoming a guitar player. Though it may have taken a decade, sort of, I guess, after the first time I heard it, and a failed attempt at becoming a saxophonist. I certainly felt like that's what I was going to do with my life when I heard that song. And as a song, it just has everything. Like, it has like a pocket groove that you can just develop your rhythm chops for days to. And again, the riff is kind of super simple, but it's dark and heavy. And when you're trying to first coordinate yourself as a singer, guitar player, that's one of those songs that goes, oh, I can sing and play at the same time because the phrase runs concurrently. So you can really get your single note stuff and your vocals together. So yeah, awesome, it's a very valuable song for that. Yeah.
What's the name of the song?
Black Knight, Deep Purple.
Ah, okay.
Sorry.
Did you say that?
I probably should have led with that.
I thought it was this big build-up.
He's building the drama. He's building the drama.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, unbelievable.
So good. And Richie Blackmore, like, it's got everything for a guitar player, for rhythm chops, single note chops, chord.
Yeah.
And then solos and whammy bars and...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just, yeah.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Well, to me, it's always the song. You're both laughing straight away because you know I'm going to say something not so good about it. No, but not that. But to me, it's always. I used to, when I first started playing guitar and we first started playing in a band, the drummer in the band, his dad, put on a jam night. You know, just there was a PA and backline, and you just rock up and jam. And it was a song that every time anyone got up, it was always Black Knight.
Yeah. I'm like, probably the same.
What are we going to play, guys? Oh, let's play Black Knight. Oh, okay. And we went there. Long time. That was sort of where I started performing. You know, we just got up and played a few songs, and it was just, I think I heard it was 3-4 times a night every single time I was there.
And it's probably at least 8 to 10 minutes long with everyone taking a solo.
Yeah, everyone, with two, three
right.
guitar solos sometimes, and
Singer just standing there going, well, when's it my turn? There are lyrics in this song, you know. Black Knight, don't need Black Knight.
You just say Black Knight every once in a while and just solo. That's all you need to do. And then every 5 minutes you go into the down, and that's done.
My favorite is playing the rhythm underneath the keyboard solo. Like, it's just, I love just the right hand getting it in there. Killer, love it.
But the riff itself kind of sits under the fingers quite nicely too.
Yeah.
Again, so not kind of simple but massive. And obviously, Blackmore, another super cool riff guy. There's a bunch of
pentatonic. There's no chromatic stuff in there. Like, it's, it's bread and butter stuff.
And the drums, drums filling.
Pace,
that's classic.
Yeah.
Classic. Everyone's going to love that. Big tone too. Again, Strat through a massive Marshall.
Yeah, love
Good
Blackmore.
recipe.
I know we've done a bit on Blackmore before.
We have as well,
done a Deep Purple album.
This episode is brought to you by Fretboard Biology, the comprehensive online guitar course put together by Joe Elliott, ex-head of guitar at the Guitar Institute of Technology and the McNally Smith College of Music. I was one of the beta testers for the course and can say, as a music educator, I was really impressed by the logical sequence of learning. The course has also been endorsed by players such as Brett Garsed and Greg Cup. For more details, check out the links in our show notes.
All right, my third one, again from the year 1996, because for some reason I like that year.
It was a great year.
It was a cool year. So to me, this is just one of those kind of ever so slightly underrated bands. I really like the band. There's a lot of humor in that band too, which I like. I always like a little bit of humor in music. It's The Distance by Cake.
Nice.
I really like Cake, I got to say. So this is off their, I think, second album, Fashion Nugget, from 1996, which had The Distance on it, and which had, I think, one of the greatest covers ever in the history of covers, which is I Will Survive by them. They did their version of I Will Survive,
it is a good
which
version.
I think is such a good version of that song. Great guitar solo in that song as well. Really, really good guitar solo. And actually, this is not the song I'm talking about, but just going to I Will Survive. If you listen to it, some of the chords, depending on when they're playing it, are sometimes major, sometimes minor. It's interesting. Just if you're actually listening to it in the chord progression, some chords sometimes become major, sometimes become minor, depending on what the guitarist wants to play at that particular time. But it's so cool and great rhythm section. But we're talking about The Distance.
Sure.
Such a cool riff. To me, one of those sort of very iconic 90s riffs. Played by guitarist and writer of the song, Greg Brown, who was the original guitarist for Cake, who left not long after that. Played with a 1965 Guild Starfire 3, a Rat pedal, and a Silvertone amp. And he gets a killer low-end note in it. Quirky a few little chromatic notes in there as well every once in a while.
Yeah, nice. Trumpet. I mean, there's a trumpet in it. How much cooler could that possibly be? All right. They've done some good things for trumpet. Yeah. Matt, Cake. Do you like cake? Yeah. What kind of cake do you enjoy? I like all the cake. I really only know the hits. I got to be honest. There's The Distance, short skirt, long jacket. Yeah. Fun fact about I Will Survive. I was in one of those top 40 bands in the RSLs and things, and people loved I Will Survive. They still do. I still play it acoustically. Even I play it. I do the cake version. Nice. Yeah. Well, when we started doing the cake version, people did not love it. Oh, really? I enjoyed it.
Not in Clubland. No way.
Not in Clubland. No. It wasn't quite the cool enough version. But we did it. We enjoyed it. But yeah, great with The Distance. Yeah. I love heaps about Cake. The vocal delivery. I don't know how I'd go with 3 hours of it on repeat, but I just hear enough of it to think that dude is super cool. He also does. I don't know if you've heard the podcast Stuff You Should Know. Yeah. No. The dude is a big fan of that show, so he sings a little cool. A stinger for them, which is fun. But yeah, I love the synth in it. I love everything. It's just such a cool, and his voice too, and Anyway, I just think it's excellent. What about you, Rob? Yeah, I think it's great. It's aged wonderfully. Like, it could come out tomorrow, and it'll probably be a hit, because it's not too far away from Jack White-ish, Black Keys, those types of acts, the gravel tones, those sorts of edgy guitar-based raw bands. I don't think I appreciated it at the time. Probably ruined by Triple M Radio Sydney. You've mentioned them a lot, Rob. Apologise if they're sponsors. Friends of the show. But yeah, given time away from it, I totally dig it now. And I love the interaction between the guitar and the bass. And then the trumpet drops in. And it's then that great band. Great band. Whatever that. What's a keyboard that's doing the whistle? That's cool. Killer. Yeah. I think the trumpet player plays keys and trumpet. But yeah, great band, good drummer, good bass player, and the guitar. I always love the guitar. And if you listen to that whole album, there's some really cool guitar on it. It's funny also. The singer plays this crappy nylon string acoustic guitar with this sort of stick-on pickup, and it goes into an amp. It's the most horrible sound. If you ever, and he plays any live stuff I've ever seen on YouTube
it's always that crappy, beaten up old little acoustic,
That's great.
non-string
Yeah,
acoustic,
wow.
but it just fits so well into the songs.
Might have
It's the
been a
same-
Willie Nelson fan, you know.
A little bit Willie Nelson, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same. The start of I Will Survive. That's that acoustic guitar. That's him.
Oh, really? That's
and
cool.
He plays it. He just plays power chords. So then neither major nor minor, and then the guitar player. Some bits are major, some bits are minor. It's interesting if you really listen to it. It's really cool how
Wow.
it switches
I didn't
between
notice.
major and minor in that song. Anyway, but that's a different song. But yeah, I love it. Cake the Distance. So that was my third one. Go and check it out. Check out the whole album, Fashion Nugget. It's a really good album. Frank Sinatra, it's a song on there as well. That's a really good song.
Oh, I have heard that song.
Yeah. It's a
I
good
know
album.
I know 4 Cake songs.
There you go.
Excellent.
All right, Matt, number 3.
Number 3 for me, this is a little bit of a left turn.
Yeah.
Black Cat, Janet Jackson.
Nuno.
From, well, there is a Nuno
Not really a
connection.
left turn.
Actually, you're right. There's even less of a left turn coming too. But it was off the album Rhythm Nation, came out in '89. Man, I love that album. I really love that album.
It's a great album, isn't it? Yeah.
Killer record. This song is the Black Cat of the album because it's like nothing else on the record. I mean, I guess some of the produced drums are the tones and stuff, but Janet Jackson's rocking, man. She throws down. So, killer riff. Killer
The
riff.
thing I wrote down, I watched the film clip. I wrote down when tough guys had flat tops. You know, the flat tops.
That's the Wesley Snipes, mate. Every day.
Because
Oh, yeah.
the guys in the band, they're all, with the black.
Oh, are they?
They look
That's
really
great.
tough when they all had the flat tops. Anyway, sorry.
I can't even remember the video. That's great.
It's very Michael. I mean, it's his sister, but it's
Yeah,
so Michael
it's her-
Jackson. The way
it's her
she even
beating.
interacts with the guitar player, the shreddy lead guitar player dude. and,
Right. Yeah. It's her beat. I was thinking about throwing beat it in because I think that's amazing.
Oh, of
as
course,
well,
yeah.
but,
Honorable mention.
So the guitarist is a guy called David Barry who did most of the guitars and the solos on the album version, and he ended up becoming Janet Jackson's MD on the road, which is kind of cool. But yeah, Nuno added some parts for the video version. So there's that story. And then there's also, I don't know if you guys have heard this, there's a version with Vernon Reid soloing on it.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
It
No.
is. It's on Spotify. There's I found a playlist or something called Black Cat, the remixes. So it gets to that solo, and you just hear Vernon, and it's 100% Vernon. Just
As many notes as humanly possible, yeah.
just a hailstorm of Vernon over this track.
Zeros and ones.
It's so it's all the binary stuff. It's amazing, and that version's got live drums, so it's
Okay.
it's even heavier, which is cool. So
Check that out.
it's great, but yeah, man, great riff from late 90s, late 80s rather.
Yeah, it's there's a fun little side note to that album. Rhythm Nation has been linked to the destruction of laptops.
Oh, yes, I heard about that.
Yeah,
Yes.
it hits in the song. It hits a resonant frequency and just shakes the hard drive to pieces in laptops.
No way.
Yeah, that's right.
And I love that song. I think the production on Rhythm Nation is fantastic.
That's
Yes.
right. I remember that
But
now.
yeah, I was watching that video where it's just, oh yeah, this is why it does it, because they were like myth busting it or whatever.
Okay.
But they couldn't use that trademark, obviously. And then just shake the hard drive to pieces, just like
That's hilarious.
resonant frequency. It's so good. It's the
Wow.
sub. It's got to do with the sub bass or something that's going on in that song.
And it's some particular brand of laptops or something like that, and
Yeah.
some particular hard drive, and it just reacts. I remember watching that video too. Yeah, true. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was killer.
Yeah.
So cool. And more cowbell, mate, that song. Honestly, more cowbell. And I think it's probably spawned that On Vogue song, Free Your Mind, as well.
Okay.
It probably would have
I can
been an
hear that.
influence and like, oh, yeah, we can do
Yeah.
that.
Let's use heavy
yeah.
guitar. Oh, I wonder if they got flat tops. I got to check that out.
Love it. All right. That's me.
All right,
Cool.
so I'm going to lead with the song title of this one. I'm not going to
Okay.
leave you hanging. And
All good.
I don't know. We're going to get to 3 or 4. Who knows? All right. I'll have to choose. This is out of Bon Jovi's Raise Your Hands. Or the one I'm going to go with, just because it's so funky, is Always on the Run.
Yeah.
Lenny Kravitz and Slash. It has to be one of the funkiest riffs ever in mainstream like pop rock.
Well, it's 2 guitars too,
and it's 2 riffs. That's right.
2 completely separate riffs.
It's a must-do if you're in a 2-guitar band.
Yeah.
Both riffs are fun to play, and you can just swap and change any night. How about you play that one tonight? And yeah, they're just great in there. Lenny and Slash, it's just got undeniable swagger to it.
Yeah.
It's so funky. Again, just a pocket groove that develops, and all things you need as a, all-round guitar player can be found in that song. It's fat, it's percussive, pedal tones, like it's just got everything.
Cool guitars. The solo's cool.
Sound, the solos,
Key
horns.
change for the solo.
Lenny going, yeah! Like, it's just got it all.
That was great, Rob.
And the horns coming in. Yeah.
Yep.
It's cool. I just want to give honorable mention while we're talking Lenny Kravitz. I always loved playing Rock and Roll Is Dead. That's another really cool riff. We played that in one of the bands I used to play in back in the days, and I always loved that riff, killer riff. That was one of my honorable mentions.
We could do a whole episode on Lenny riffs, because Stop Dragging Around, like that is just
that's
such a great riff too.
There's lots of good Lenny Kravitz stuff. I'm totally with you there with Always on a Run. That's awesome, absolutely awesome, and great Slash guitar solo.
Slash.
Yeah. It's cool. I'm a big Lenny Kravitz fan, so it's I'm all for it.
He could read the phone book. It'd be super cool. It'd be like just the coolest thing. Yeah. And those 2 guitars. That's so fun.
Yeah.
The pen. It's kind of like the Stones, but not. It's like
much more
cool.
funky.
Yeah, it's like if the Stones had Sly Stone in it.
That's right. I always think the Stones, I think the joke is that, it sounds like the 2 guitar players are not actually listening to each other at all. I don't know if that's a joke.
They're 2 drums.
I mean, not to bag the Stones. I mean, props, and that kind of thing they've got going on is amazing. This feels like they're in the same room, and they're just finding the pocket. It's incredible. I almost picked Are You Going to Go My Way?
That's another great one, yeah.
That's a fun riff. I've played both those songs, Always on the Run and Are You Going to Go, in one guitar bands, and it's still cool, still fun to play them, but you really miss the second guitar.
Yeah. We often had the keyboard player on like a clavy sort of sound do the other bit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've done it in a trio where when I'm not singing, you play the main Slash riff, and then when you are singing, you play more the staccato Lenny riff. And then you can,
And that's probably what Lenny does to sing the parts. Maybe that's how it kind of works.
What's the guy who usually plays guitar for him?
Yeah, his name's on there.
Oh, the
Ross.
dude.
Something Ross,
with the Afro guy.
Got the Afro.
People are yelling and screaming at us.
He's a great player too, that dude, actually.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But
if only there was a way we could look it up.
He plays the...
Yeah. If we could just type in the name of the song.
Chat GPT, please invent guitar solos for Lenny Kravitz.
I'll put an ad up in the local paper.
We should be doing this show on Chat GPT. That will save so much time.
Craig Ross.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
he
you,
usually
Google.
plays the Slash bit. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's super cool, man.
He's a great player too, actually. Yeah.
Hey, just this whole idea, it just makes me think riffs are the coolest. Any song with a riff is the coolest.
Yeah, like a cool repetitive riff. That's to me, and I think that's sort of why I wanted to do this episode, because I just thought there's so many songs with so many good riffs. It's this usually quite simple repetitive thing that sort of draws you in, and I'm a very riff based. I love a lot of riff based music.
Well, that could be a bit of a segue into the next part of this episode then, because you've all championed, a great riff. Just can.
Yeah.
So what we thought.
But
what we thought was, is there possibly a song that has a great riff, but then is let down by the rest of the song? So, good riff, bad song. And should I start it off? I'll start it off.
Go for it.
Yeah, man.
So mine is, so there's also a little backstory. So I'm a big Mr. Bungle fan. Always been a big Mr. Bungle fan. Love Mr. Bungle. That sort of, quirky kind of, very also lots of kind of riffs. Mm-hmm. A friend of mine says, you got to check out this song. It's really sort of Mr. Bungle, and I put it on, and I mean, this is also in the olden days, so it took a little longer to find a copy of it. But I played it, put it on, and went, this sounds really cool. And then the singing came in, and I went, no. And the song is, I'm kind of dragging it all out as well. The song is 96 Quite Bitter Beings by CKY.
Okay.
It's off the first album called Volume 1 from the year 1999, so not 1996. And it was written by guitarist and singer Darren Miller, who had a custom-made Parker guitar. Yeah. Into a JCM 2000, and from what I could find out, it was an OC2 octaver he used, because there's an octaver there that you can really hear.
Love it. Yeah.
And a killer riff. It's such a cool riff. But then it just, as soon as the riff is over, it's just, nah. What were you guys thinking of that? Have you heard it before, or was this the first time you heard it?
I'd never heard of this thing before.
Definitely never heard it.
And I will not be hearing it again.
Unless you tune into the Spotify playlist that I've curated for tonight's episode.
Highly recommended. Check it out, people.
Yes.
It's also an experience. Yeah, Gabor, it was such a good example of your idea.
Yeah.
Because you raised the idea.
Yeah.
Good riff, bad song. Nailed it. 100%.
Right on the brief, that one.
It's a cool riff, isn't it? And it's quite tricky to play too. It's not an easy to play riff. Because it was funny. Then I think it was a friend of mine who was a fellow guitar teacher at the Music at Noosa, the local music shop where I teach guitar, and then one of my students heard it, and then a bunch of my students wanted to learn that riff. And I think all of them went, and let's do, what's the rest of the song? And I think all of the students kind of went, no, let's explore that.
I know. I was like, I reckon I've played every time I like to do this thing when I'm just messing around in the studio here at home and turn on every octave pedal at the same time. And I reckon accidentally you've probably played that riff a few times and love it. Like, it's just, I love all octaves on, like OC2 into a full tone Octavia and a whammy pedal, and just try and shake the foundation of the place. But yeah, it was a great riff. And then the singer,
have a listen to it, people. Have a listen to it and let us know what you think.
Rob, what actually happens when you have that many octaves going? Like, does it just keep going lower, but then you got maybe some octave up?
Man, it's actually it's wonderful.
Okay.
It's like the best experience of your life, but amplified many octaves over.
Well, there's a video on YouTube. I don't remember who did it, but they had, 10 whammy pedals.
Yeah.
And they were trying to see if they would cancel each other out. So they would go down an octave with one, then the next one up an octave.
Oh, that's
then
great.
Down 2 octaves, then up 2 octaves to see if it would cancel. And it was just this noisy mess at the end. Glitchy, noisy, crazy mess.
Funny story. So in the 80s show, to save my voice, I'll give away some secrets here. I used the DT and drop the guitar down like 2 semitones.
Okay, yeah.
And I do a bunch of songs so I don't have to scream the whole way through the set. And, you know, when you do 150 shows a year, you kind of got to make some tough choices. But sometimes I forget to turn it off and start the next song. And it's like, what's going on here? And we did one gig where I accidentally hit it because the DT is weird. If I hit another pedal, sometimes I hit the thing. And we're starting Rocking All Over the World in the 70s show. And I don't use the drop tune in the 70s show. and the great Bobby Poulton comes in after the first verse and it sounds off. Like something's wrong. I'm going, we're looking at one another, where I'm like, and then the penny drops and I hit it and he goes, what was that? And I go, I had the whammy pedal on and it was in between a semitone.
Oh.
So it was like,
like some of those great albums.
He's chasing it, going, "What key's he in?" No chance of ever finding it because it's between notes.
It's like bending the notes a little bit.
I think I've mentioned this before. One of the best things to do in a band situation, if you really want to annoy the rest of the band and the audience, is take the whammy pedal without knowing where you're going. Just put it somewhere. Right, it's off. Put it somewhere, and then as you're playing, just turn it on.
Yeah.
And off randomly, and it just skips to this kind of whatever the note is.
I like that.
Yeah, there's
Try
like,
people.
Oh
It's
man,
the best.
I don't often have those moments, but my God, it's just everyone just laughs and everyone knows something's going on.
Yeah, you just got to. Once in Clubland for fun, I did a couple of sets with. I had a Line 6 M13, so you could have the same effect twice, whatever.
Yeah.
So I had it detuned. -1 semitone. No, then I had the next pitch shifter +1.
That's the epitome of boredom, isn't it?
It was like the fifth set at a club where you did 5 30-minute sets with a 30-minute break in between because the piano bar was going upstairs. Had a lot of fun with the guys and girls in the band. We sort of hung out a lot and drank coffee and stuff. But yeah, that was the epitome of boredom. It sort of got me back in tune with added glitches, so it was awesome.
That's perfect. That's awesome. That sort of stuff.
Sort of.
And
We're going to do it all the time now.
And that pedal will soon be available on
Okay,
by
that's
Past
something,
Effects, and it'll be the GSP signature pedal for Matt Wakeling. You can
that's my signature.
Yeah, you can offset the cents of
Thank
each
you.
octave. Wait, I think Eventide did one of those. I'm not sure.
Really? Wow.
I want to be
I've
1
been
cent
thinking,
out
what
of
would be
tune.
my signature pedal? That's it. You've nailed it. Thanks, Rob.
Oh, that's a callback for an earlier episode.
Oh, so good. All right.
What's your
Right.
bad riff, Matt?
Matt,
Good riff.
I've
Sorry,
got-
bad song.
Good riff, bad song. Larger Than Life by the Backstreet Boys.
wowzers.
I think it's a great riff. Boom, 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 doo doo da dum. So by the time the Backstreet Boys were back, Backstreet's Back, which ironically I think was their first single.
All right.
I don't know where they were back from.
Where were they?
Back from Cali. Cali.
There is some stuff about Backstreet Boys because their producer and one of the co-writers, Max Martin, the Swedish mega producer, because English is not his first language, some of the lyrics don't make sense. So perhaps Backstreet's Back.
Really?
Backstreet's Back should have been Backstreet Has Arrived. Backstreet are starting their career. But anyway, Larger Than Life. Cool riff. I like the riff. Simple, kind of, you could almost get into Black Knight from that riff. It was written by one of the singers, so extra cred for the singers that killed. But but then the song, it ends up being a Backstreet Boys song. I do have a begrudging respect for a lot of Backstreet Boys stuff now. In the 90s, I didn't get it. There's some great
clip.
pop tunes.
I watched the film clip the other day. That's
Did you?
interesting. That's interesting. Well, after you said that that's the bad riff, I come.
Oh, nice.
That's what. Check it out on YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, props.
It dates it definitely the film.
I think I read it was one of the most expensive film clips ever made too, or like top 20 or something.
It looks for the day because it's all green screen, computer animated. They're like weird sort of robot outfits and stuff like that. And I can imagine that.
The 90s was a weird time, hey, but I mean, at that stage that they had to find something to do with their money. Surely they were massive, and again, fantastic pop hits. Some of their other stuff I like. I mean, Give It Up in the 90s, having a shredding guitar solo in the middle of a boy band song. I respect it, but B, how quiet is that in the mix?
So buried.
Isn't it ridiculous? Yeah. It's like, why bother?
Yeah.
That's like they went, you know how they did that in Ride Like the Wind? We should do that. Just bury the solo in the back of the mix.
Oh yeah, totally. Have we mentioned Hold the Line? I know we've talked about Lukather a lot. I think the Hold the Line solo is criminally low in the mix.
I don't know if I've ever noticed that. I don't think I have to go back and listen to that. I always thought it was pretty high in the mix, but yeah, maybe you're right.
I don't know.
Anyway.
I can't think of that at all right now.
That's a vocoder in that riff, is it though?
The Backstreet Boys?
Yeah. Is
Yeah,
that the
there's a
guitar?
lot going on.
Sounds like vocoder. I can hear.
I think there's a lot going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
There's
anyway,
some sort
there
of a
you go.
bass synth kind of doubling it as well, and with some filter stuff on it, and there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never
And,
actually thought of that as a riff, but there is definitely guitar there.
there's guitar there. The guitar mentioned on the track. It's Gabor. You could probably pronounce this better than I with your European heritage. But Esbjorn Ormal and Max Martin, both on guitar. So I didn't know Max
I think
Martin
it's
played
pronounced
guitar.
Max Martin.
Max. Hang on. Say it again.
Max
Martin.
Martin.
Okay, got it. Nailed it.
Gold.
That's it. I think I probably secretly love this song. I don't know. I'm feeling very confused right now.
And that's why you're larger than life.
Do you know the dance
you.
moves? That's the question.
I'll be watching the video later.
All right, so mine was hard because
You have a few.
I got it down this afternoon to one. But I didn't want to be, man yells at cloud and pick on new songs because, I had Blow by Ed Sheeran, Chris Stapleton, and Bruno Mars. That's a pretty terrible riff. A really good riff in a terrible song. And I had Icky Thump by the White Stripes because I think that's a great riff. It's a questionable song. I won't say it's terrible. It fits the brief. It's a White Stripes song to the end.
To me, and I'm sorry to all the Jack White fans out there, but to me, most stuff that he does, the guitar's great. As soon as he opens his mouth, I kind of go, I'm out, sorry. That's just me. I'm sorry. I apologize. There's lots of Jack White fans. And I do, like I said, I think there's some killer riffs, but yeah, I can't stand his voice. Him and Barnsey.
Jeez. Yeah, you just got rid of the other half of the listeners.
Sorry. Send your hate mail to Matt Wakeling.
But what I decided to do was I wanted to do it with love. So I took one of my favorite bands and picked one of the greatest song riffs that they've ever done. It's Blistering All the Way Through by the King, Edward Van Halen. But the song is just rubbish. And thanks to Sammy Hagar just doing unintelligible screaming and maybe reading a dictionary. I don't know what he's doing. But Eddie is on fire throughout the whole song.
Yeah, totally.
And if you're wondering what song I'm talking about, it's from OU812 and it's called Source of Infection. And it's kind of like Hot for Teacher Part 2.
I thought it was David Lee Roth. It sounded like David Lee Roth.
David Lee Roth can't sing like that, mate. What are you talking about?
Sounded similar to me.
Oh my God. How can something so good be so bad?
Yeah.
But yeah, Eddie is on fire through that whole song. It's just like it's a riff lesson the whole way through. The solo it's again very reminiscent of Hot for Teacher. It's like the sequel to that. But yeah, killer riffs, terrible lyrics, and yeah, just my opinion. But I wanted to pick a song by a band that I loved and just go, I'm doing this with the best intentions, but it's just bad. What did you guys think of that song?
I think the title of the song it was a flag for me immediately. I mean, come on, Sammy.
Source of Infection.
It's interesting when you look for it on YouTube, when you type in source of in what other things come up. But
Yeah.
Oh, mate. I was not going to Google that title.
now, I'm going to cop a lot of
of
flack here. But I listen I kind of went, that just sounds like any other Van Halen
I think we know where this is going, Gabor.
Yeah.
It just sounds like any other Van Halen song to me. That's what I thought. I thought, I could have sworn it was David Lee Roth. I'm sorry, but it's just to me.
He is kind of shouting, hey.
He does the sort
To
of
start with.
Woo! Come on. How about you now? Oh.
I reckon they said we need a song. Eddie's gone, yep, I got a cool riff. They go, right, let's just
First take, come on, guys. Come on,
We're
fellas.
we're one song short.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like a lot of Sammy Hagar era Van Halen for
Yeah, me
sure.
too.
For sure. But I think sometimes, the lyrics are a little bit cliched or nonsensical or just whatever,
Couldn't be further away from Dreams.
Yeah, exactly. Right now. That's some good stuff. Yeah, cool, man. Yeah, the riff's unbelievable. Sounds like he's doing that tapping over the top of the neck.
Yeah. I think that was the era where he had the plexi thing fold out on the back of the guitar too.
Oh, yeah.
He had the stable table guitar.
To put his arms on to tap.
Yeah, so what he did was he got hinges with a piece of plexiglass under the guitar, and then he would fold it out so it could sit on his, in his hip or crutch or whatever, and then he'd play it over the top.
Oh, like a piano, like a
piano.
guitar kind of thing almost.
Yeah. Double-handed over the top tapping.
Oh, wow, okay, that's interesting.
He was an inventor. They weren't all winners, but it looks good in concert.
Oh, yeah, I could imagine.
But then by the time he got to For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge and the Music Mans and the song Pleasure Dome, he didn't have that anymore. He just played over the top with the guitar.
Yeah, right.
Same way. But, yeah.
Nice.
Cool. All right. So that was everyone, wasn't it? Yeah, that was everyone. So we've had all good riffs and all bad riffs.
Nice.
But most importantly, people at home, let us know what your favourite riffs are, and let us know what your favourite good riffs in bad songs are. That's particularly that one. I would really like to know more good riffs, bad songs.
Yeah, that's a fun discussion.
Totally. Head over to Guitar Speak Podcast at Instagram, perhaps.
Yeah.
That's the main place I'm publicly doing stuff. That could be cool. Yeah, nice. All right. Thanks, fellas. Thanks, Gabor. Great idea for a show.
Thank you very much.
Like I said earlier, I'm just super pumped about riffs now. All these riffy songs.
Riffs are good.
Rob, thanks for making the playlist as well. We'll put that in the show notes and people can check out these riffs.
Yeah, no problem.
As well. Awesome. Guys, we can catch you. Rob Rhodes, where's the best place to find you?
Roadtripant.com is the best place for all things 70s, 80s, solos, etc.
Awesome, man. And Gabor?
You could go to YouTube and type in the Super Fun, Awesome, Happy Time Pedal Show, all one word, and you will find me and my good friend Alex doing stuff with pedals and guitars and amps and all this sort of stuff. And we do a podcast as well, so if you want to hear me talk more, because we all want to hear me talk more, go and check that out as well.
Perfect. All right, thanks, fellas. Thanks also to Fretboard Biology, sponsors of the show. Check out the links to that online guitar course in our show notes. And we'll get out of here. We've got 2 minutes before the Google Meet ends, which, as you know, means it's time for us to listen to Michael Schenker, who gave us the best advice at all, which was...
Keep rocking. Keep on rocking.
Keep on rocking. Indeed. All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Indubitably.
Catch you next time.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.